Michael Johnson was a 34-year-old factory worker living in a small town in the United States. Every morning before sunrise, he left his tiny apartment and walked to the large manufacturing factory where he had worked for nearly 10 years. The factory produced automobile parts and operated day and night. Life was not easy for Michael. His wife Sarah stayed home to take care of their young daughter, Emily. The family's entire future depended on Michael's paycheck. Despite the long hours and exhausting work, he never complained. Inside the factory, hundreds of workers stood beside massive machines. The sound of metal cutting, welding sparks, and moving conveyor belts filled the air. Workers wore safety helmets and gloves while performing the same tasks repeatedly for hours. Michael's best friend at work was Daniel Carter. Daniel was known throughout the factory for his kindness. Whenever a worker struggled with a machine or needed help lifting heavy materials, Daniel was always there. One cold Monday morning, rumors began spreading across the factory floor. Workers whispered nervously during breaks. Some claimed the company was losing money. Others said management planned to reduce staff. At lunch, Michael sat beside Daniel. "Do you think the rumors are true?" Michael asked. Daniel sighed. "I hope not. Many families depend on these jobs." The following week, management called all workers into the main warehouse. Everyone stood silently as the factory director stepped onto a small stage. His expression immediately worried the crowd. Due to financial difficulties, he announced, the company must reduce operating costs. Unfortunately, some positions will be eliminated. The warehouse became completely silent. Many workers lowered their heads. Some looked ready to cry. Michael felt his heart pounding. He thought about Sarah and Emily. Losing his job would be a disaster. For days afterward, nobody could focus properly. The factory felt different. The usual laughter during breaks disappeared. Workers constantly worried about whether their names would appear on the termination list. Every evening Michael returned home looking exhausted. One night Sarah noticed his sadness. "You hardly speak anymore," she said softly. Michael looked at his daughter sleeping on the couch. "I'm afraid," he admitted. "If I lose this job, I don't know what we'll do." Sarah held his hand. "We'll face it together." Those words gave him some comfort, but the fear remained. A week later, management announced that the final list would be posted on Friday morning. Nobody slept well that night. Friday arrived. Hundreds of workers gathered around the notice board. Michael's hands trembled as he searched for his name. After several seconds, he finally found the answer. His name was not there. Relief flooded through him, but then he saw another name. Daniel Carter. Michael stared at it in disbelief. His best friend had lost his job. When he turned around, he saw Daniel standing quietly near the wall. There was sadness in his eyes, but he still managed a small smile. Michael walked toward him. "I'm so sorry, Daniel." Daniel nodded slowly. "I'll be okay," he replied. "Take care of your family." As Daniel collected his belongings and walked toward the factory gate for the last time, many workers watched silently. Nobody knew that an even bigger challenge was waiting for the factory. After Daniel left the factory, everything changed. The workers continued their daily routines, but the atmosphere felt empty. Daniel had been the person who encouraged everyone during difficult times. Without him, the factory seemed colder and quieter. Michael often glanced toward Daniel's old workstation. It remained empty. Weeks passed. Then another problem appeared. One morning, a major production machine suddenly broke down. It was one of the most important machines in the entire factory. Without it, production slowed dramatically. Management called emergency meetings. Engineers worked day and night trying to repair the equipment, but nothing seemed to work. Orders began arriving late. Customers became frustrated. The company started losing even more money. Workers feared another round of layoffs. One evening Michael stayed late to finish his shift. As he walked past the maintenance area, he overheard several supervisors discussing the problem. "We've tried everything," one engineer said. "The only person who truly understood this machine was Daniel Carter," another replied. Michael immediately remembered how Daniel had spent years helping maintain factory equipment. He knew every part of the production line. The next morning, Michael visited the factory manager. "You should call Daniel," he suggested. The manager hesitated. "We already let him go." "Maybe," Michael answered, "but he still cares about this factory." After several discussions, management finally agreed. That afternoon Daniel received a phone call. At first, he was surprised. Then he listened carefully. The factory needed help. Without hesitation, he agreed to come. The following day Daniel walked back through the factory gates. Many workers smiled when they saw him. Some even applauded. Daniel immediately inspected the broken machine. For hours he studied every component. Finally, late in the evening, he found the problem. A small but critical mechanical part had failed deep inside the system. After replacing it and recalibrating the controls, he pressed the start button. Everyone held their breath. The machine began operating normally. The conveyor belt started moving. Production resumed. Cheers erupted across the factory floor. Workers celebrated as if they had won a championship. The factory manager shook Daniel's hand. "You saved us." Over the next few months, production improved significantly. The company secured several new contracts and financial conditions stabilized. Soon management made an announcement. All workers gathered once again in the warehouse. This time, however, the mood was different. The manager smiled. "Because of our recovery and the dedication of our employees, we are expanding operations." The workers exchanged excited looks. Then the manager continued, "We would also like to welcome back Daniel Carter as Senior Operations Supervisor." The warehouse exploded with applause. Daniel looked shocked. He never expected such an opportunity. Michael was among the first people to congratulate him. "You deserve it," he said. Daniel smiled. "We all deserve it. This factory survived because everyone worked together." Months later, the factory became one of the most successful manufacturing facilities in the region. New workers were hired. Production records were broken. Families who once feared unemployment now felt secure again. One evening, as the sun set behind the giant factory building, Michael stood outside with Daniel. Hundreds of workers were leaving after their shifts. Some laughed with friends, others hurried home to their families. Michael looked at the busy parking lot and smiled. "You know," he said, "I used to think machines were the most important part of this place." Daniel shook his head. "No," he pointed toward the workers. "They are." Michael nodded, because he finally understood the truth. Factories are built from steel, concrete, and machines. But their real strength comes from the hardworking people who show up every day, support one another, and refuse to give up when times become difficult. And that is why their story became an inspiration for workers across the United States. The factory had never been busier. New contracts arrived every month, and production records continued to break. Workers felt proud because their hard work had helped save the company. Michael and Daniel were happier than ever. For the first time in years, workers believed their future was secure. But success often brings new challenges. One morning, a large corporation from another state offered to buy the factory. The news spread quickly. Some workers believed the offer would bring better opportunities. Others feared the new owners would care only about profits. A few weeks later, the sale was finalized. The new management team arrived. At first, everything seemed normal. Then changes began. Work hours increased. Break times became shorter. Production targets doubled. Workers felt exhausted. Many complained that the new managers didn't understand the people who kept the factory running. Daniel tried speaking with management. "Our workers are doing their best," he explained. "They need support, not pressure." But the executives only focused on numbers. "We expect higher productivity," they replied. As months passed, stress levels increased. Workers became tired and frustrated. Accidents started happening more frequently. One afternoon, a young employee named Jason nearly suffered a serious injury while rushing to meet a production deadline. Fortunately, Michael pulled him away just in time. The incident shocked everyone. That evening, workers gathered in the parking lot. Many were angry, others were scared. "If things continue like this, someone will get hurt," one worker said. Daniel knew something had to change. The next day, he collected reports showing increased accidents, employee exhaustion, and declining morale. Then he requested a meeting with the company's executives. At first, they refused. But after seeing the evidence, they agreed. During the meeting, Daniel spoke honestly. "This factory became successful because workers cared about it," he said. "They are not machines. They are fathers, mothers, sons, and daughters. If you ignore them, this company will fail." The room fell silent. For several minutes, nobody spoke. Finally, the senior executive looked at the reports. For the first time, he realized the seriousness of the situation. Over the following weeks, management introduced important changes. Production goals became realistic. Safety training improved. Workers received better benefits and more support. The atmosphere slowly improved. Then something unexpected happened. The company announced a nationwide award for the safest and most productive manufacturing facility in the region. Hundreds of factories competed. Months later, the results were revealed. Michael, Daniel, and the entire workforce gathered in the warehouse. Everyone waited nervously. The factory manager stepped onto the stage with a huge smile. "We won." For a moment, nobody moved. Then the building erupted with cheers. Workers hugged each other. Some cried with happiness. Many remembered the difficult days when layoffs, uncertainty, and fear had threatened everything they had built. Now their hard work had been recognized across the country. That evening, the award was displayed in the factory lobby. Workers stopped to admire it before going home. Michael looked at Daniel and smiled. "We've come a long way." Daniel nodded. "Yes." Then he looked around at the hundreds of workers leaving after their shifts. "The award is nice," he said, "but these people are the real achievement." And once again, everyone was reminded that the greatest strength of any factory is not its machines, its buildings, or its profits. It is the hardworking people who stand together through every challenge and never stop believing in a better tomorrow. Part 4 coming next.